The following is a production of Fenix Media. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the company or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.
Welcome to the Dogish podcast, the only podcast dedicated to dog parents and the topics, events, and personalities impacting their lives. My name is Sylvia Wes. I'm a certified professional dog trainer, pet expert, and dog mom at Dog Up in This Bitch. With me, as always, is my co-host, Jasen Arias, co-founder of Forever USA, a photography experience. Jasen, how are you doing today? You got beat up a little bit.
It's okay. I don't mind. That's what punching bags are tough.
Oh my God. Are you the drama? You might be the drama. Now, Jasen found us this incredible guest.
I'm amped.
We are about to interview.
Like this is my jam.
He says it's his jam, but he didn't do his homework. You're going to hear all about it. But today we talk to Michelle and Claudia, who own PET EVAC, which is a PET EVAC PAK, which is a emergency preparedness kit for your pets. They are a woman and veteran-owned business. We had a great time interviewing with them and hearing some firsthand experience from one of our guests who has been evacuated multiple times. So good information. Let's get in there. I can't wait.
Let's do it. Well, now that we've established that we're all on the West Coast and 3 out of 4 people love living in Reno on this podcast.
Absolutely.
Wow.
See that?
I would just also like to point out that Jasen did not do his homework this morning and did not know that our guests were actually his neighbors.
I'd like to keep it genuine.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for coming. Now we can meet. Hello. Yeah, see? Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for coming on with us today to chat with everyone. These ladies do something very
together,
exciting.
Sylvia?
I'm going to pull it together. I'm excited. Jasen's just being mean because he didn't do his homework. It's fine.
So I'm like really excited about this. In my family in particular, between Christy and I, like I'm like the borderline, the prepper mentality. Like, what can we do? Like forward thinking catastrophe. And she's like, my wife is live in the moment and everything's happy and we're all going to be great. And I'm on the other side. Like, what do we need to stash away so that when everything goes to absolute crap, we're going to be A-okay. So when I found you guys just randomly browsing on Instagram, I was like, I need to reach out and learn more about this.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit more about PET EVAC, like kind of maybe what started it or what inspired it, what drives you, keeps you going, all that stuff.
Claudia, you want to run with that one?
Sure. But it's really your story, Michelle. Michelle and I've known each other through work for our other job, our old jobs for about 15 years, I think.
Then what is that? What's the other job?
We work for a manufacturing company. Okay. Here in Reno. So that's how we met and that's how we became friends. And then we both have therapy dogs and we visit a facility, an inpatient mental health facility for kids. And we would wander around the halls and we always, in between visiting the units, we chat. And one time when Hurricane Harvey hit the Texas coast, and Michelle wanted to go down and take a bunch of donations down. So she spent a lot of time gathering donations from the local community here in Reno. And they gathered enough to fill up an entire U-Haul. And they drove down to Houston. How long was it?
It was 2,000 miles. So it took us 2.5 days.
And she called it Marshall's Mission.
Which is my dog's name.
Oh, go Marshall.
Yeah.
And so they donated all of the supplies down there. Oh, hello, the little baby. Love the babies. They delivered everything down in Texas. And actually she brought back 4 dogs, pulled them out of shelters and found them homes back here in Reno. And from there, we kind of got to talking. She was telling me about the experience one night when we were walking around the halls of the facility, and we were questioning why did people have to leave their animals behind, and what could we do? You know, there's got to be something that you could do so that people would be better prepared. And that's where this idea was born. It was born out of the passion that we have for our pets and just how awful it is to see any of them suffer and see the owners suffer. We did a lot of volunteer work, helping get donations again and driving them over for the campfire in California when that happened a few years ago. And to see the owners lined up at the shelter hoping that they had their dog or cat was just heartbreaking. So anything that we can do that can help pet owners be better prepared, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, that was, and we're all here on the West Coast. So that was a big thing on the West Coast with the Paradise Fire. And we're even closer, like we're actually dealing with it again right now with the Tamarack Fire. So I would imagine you guys are going to start seeing an uptick in that. It's interesting. And I went through a lot of this thought process too, even as we entered into the whole COVID thing, over the last couple of years. Like, if we can't go grocery shopping, how are we going to feed the dogs and just basic things like that. And so kind of learning more about what you guys do and helping people being able to, like, would you guys consider your guy, like the bags, like is that one of the bags behind you there, Michelle?
Yeah, it is.
Is that like a bug out bag for dogs?
It's a bug out bag for a pet. We do them for dogs and cats both.
And what are in those bags?
So I'll let Claudia talk about what comes in the bags, because she's our operations manager and she does all the order fulfillment and all of that stuff. And she's our spokesperson for what comes in the bag.
So basically what you're saying is Claudia does all the shopping. I love this. Tell me more about it.
She manages the supply chain and marketing and all of that stuff.
So shopping. So she'll call me and she's so excited about finding a new vendor or a new product. And so, she does all the shopping and I have to be the spouse, the work spouse at home going, oh my God, what is she doing?
She does now.
No, we don't need an extra reflection vest for their paws.
No, we don't. We don't need toenail polish while you're in the shelter.
Yeah.
But
do you though?
I would say needs and wants. Those are two different things, right?
Needs and wants, right? So what comes in all of our bags, the most important item that we put in our bag is fresh water. So there are 12 little pouches of fresh water, and it comes in every kit, no matter the size of the animal. Michelle's holding up one of the little pouches, and it's fresh water. It's human water, dog water, whatever water. It's good for 5 years. It's a 5-year shelf life. And that is the most important thing you can have, because you can survive without food, but you can't survive without water. Your animal is going to shut down after 72 hours. Is it 72 hours without water?
It's 72 hours, right?
And so that's why that's the very first and foremost, most important thing that we have in our packs. Then they also come with 5-year shelf life kibble, little vacuum sealed pouches of kibble. And one of those pouches, depending upon the size of the dog, for a little dog, I'm guessing, yours is a little dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he's like 12 pounds.
12 pounds. One of those pouches would probably feed her for for 3 days. So, and then you can have a big dog.
If they're 8 ounces of food. So
yeah. And the big dog will get like 3 pouches of the food. And again, it's a 5-year shelf life food. So it's something that you can just think about and forget about. It's like insurance sitting in your closet. You don't have to think about it. And, wait, it's 6 months from now, I've got to change out the food. Because, once you open up a bag of food, it's only good for 6 months. Mm-hmm. So then we also have a first aid kit, and the first aid kit is very pet centric. It doesn't have an ace bandage in it like some of the kits we've seen. Because have you ever tried to put an ace bandage on your dog?
Yeah,
I've watched
I have
people
actually.
So we have vet tape. So what the vet actually uses to wrap a wound or something. So we have vet tape in there. We have a great product in there called PET EVAC which is a wound gel, a wound and dressing gel. It's water-based with an active ingredient of silver, and it fights the all of the really nasty stuff.
Is it like a Vetricin?
I don't know what Vetricin is.
It's kind of like a Neosporin, but for pets.
Yes.
But it's not a Neosporin. It's not.
It's not.
It's not a gel.
It's better than a Neosporin because it doesn't kill the good cells.
Okay. Is it like a thick gel or is it?
It's
a water-based gel.
Clear gel.
Oh, so it's breathable. That's nice.
And so if your animal licks it, if your dog or cat licks it, it's not going to harm them because it's water-based.
Yeah.
And this stuff is great. It's human grade. So I know a lot of groomers that use it. So if they get a cat scratch or a dog bite, my daughter was a groomer and she uses it whenever she gets any owies at work from her pets, and it's great. It hardly that even leave scars and stuff. This is really good stuff, and it's good for the animals. I used it on I have a little 10-pounder, and he pulled a toenail out, and
that's the worst.
And dressed, I put some of that on it and then put some sterile gauze and wrapped it with the vet tape. And in 3 days, he was fine. So
wow.
It's great stuff. So the first aid kit is fully appointed with, hydrogen peroxide spray. It has the PET vet. It has Claudit, so the styptic powder. And then it also has gauze pads and antiseptic wipes, tweezers and Q-tips. So it's just a really, really well put together first aid kit that focuses on the pet. Then you also get a slip lead. Slip leads are super important because if my dogs, unfortunately, I have a really bad habit of my dogs don't wear collars when they're at home. So if I had to get out really fast and I could just take one of those slip leads and I can throw it over their neck and away they go. And I don't have to stop and go look for the collar. It's with my kit. And also because of the way the slip lead is made, the animals can't back out of them. And because, when animals get scared, they have a tendency to back away. And I've seen a lot of dogs back out of their collar, and they can't back out of these because they're kind of, you can cinch them down and they're really beneficial. And they're great for cats too, because again, the cat can't back out of them. And, cats are really hard to wrangle. Sometimes.
Very, especially if they're panicked.
Yeah, exactly. So that helps with that. Then there's also an LED light that you can clip onto a collar or a leash or your backpack or something. So especially if it's at nighttime and it flashes, there are 2 collapsible water dishes. So those are great. I have at least 2 in my car. I carry them on my belt whenever I'll clip it. It has a little carabiner. I'll clip it to my belt when the dogs and I are working at one of the facilities, and I have to have something to give them water. So I'm not carrying it's just a little flat. They squish down about this big, and you get 2 of those in the kit along with the waterproof pouch. You can put anything in the waterproof pouch. You can put medication, you can put ID, you can put shot records, and then there's also an ID card so you can write all your pet's information down. There's a first aid brochure that gives basic pet first aid information. There is poopy bags, because you never know how important a poopy bag is until you have one. So that's always something that's pretty important. There's a Mylar blanket in there to help if they're wet or cold, you can wrap the Mylar blanket around and that keeps the heat in. And then there's a Jasen Cali wipe, which that's the brand name is Jasen Cali, and it's a it's not antibacterial, it's a hypoallergenic wipe. So it's something that you can wipe especially if you're stuck in a situation where it's like a flood and there's mud, or a fire, there's ash. You can then clean the dog off, or the cat and everything. I think, and a toy. God, can't forget the toy. So, and then there's a size appropriate toy in there for the cats. We also include all of the same things, except we have a collapsible litter box and it's reusable. Oh, wow. So it folds down, it's about this big, but then it opens up and it's a full size litter box. And then there's 2 pounds of litter in there, along with a litter scoop and little tiny cat toys. So.
Okay, there's a lot of stuff in there. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. And I'm going to further unpack this unpacking.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart and don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. For help keeping yours at a healthy range, text PRESSURE to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to sell all your belongings and live in a commune.
These dungarees belong to all of us now, Tom.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman!
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see, every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at fenixmedia.us.
Well, the good news is we're back.
Okay.
Yeah, during the break, these ladies were like spilling everything. They're like, we do customs, we have carriers, we have. It was like a all inclusive behind the scenes. I was like, what's happening? Okay, so talk to me about these customs. What? Like, is this like for if you have a pet that's not a cat or a dog? Like if I'm like do you guys cover anything like that? Or do you mean just more custom for these types of pets?
So our custom packs are basically for like breeders or boarding facilities or people who have multiple animals.
Like us. 3 dogs and 1 cat.
Right. So. Yeah. So that we offer roller bags, larger roller bags. You can put a whole case of water in it. You can put, bags of food in it. You can get multiple slip leads and multiple bowls and all of that. And we're getting ready to actually launch that tomorrow night, our custom feature that we're going to have on our website.
Perfect timing. Stay
tuned. Yeah.
I'm going to need one of those.
Yeah. So we can help you build it, design it, whatever you guys want to do. So that's pretty exciting.
Very cool. So this is new. This is not.
Well, we've had it out there, but kind of on just a back shelf for a while. So
behind the scenes,
you'll be able to go through on our website and say, okay, I'm going to start with a carrier, then I'm going to go to the food, then I'm going to go to the water, and you're just going to build it as you go for what you need for your weights of your pets and what type of pets you have. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So if I was, okay, because like I'm a dog trainer, I do boarding in my house. I always have like an innumerous amount of animals pitter-pattering about. And then I also work at a very large facility in Santa Monica where, on our max capacity day, we've got 110 dogs in there.
Wow.
What would something like that look like? Like, do you guys have like fire lines and things like that? Like, talk to me a little bit more about how you're kind of aiming towards these. Is this a goal for you to be able to provide these emergency kits for large facilities like ours in the event of an emergency? That's very cool.
Absolutely. For businesses and stuff, that have like massive amounts of pets and stuff. We want to get to that point. So right now it would be more like 5 to 10 pets, something like that. Okay. And you could have multiple roller bags if you wanted, like I said, but we do sell cases of water. They can handle usually about 5 large pets, a case of water. So if you wanted multiple cases of water, it's just a matter of how do we store it? What does that look like? As far as how many animals you have, what their weight is. So for a facility like that, and pets are coming and going, so you're not always going to know how much you've got there. You're just going to have to give it your best guess. So
wow, that's great. I think most people don't think about. I actually just had this conversation with my family over Father's Day, which is so weird. But they were like, "What do you do if there's an emergency? Like, what happens if there is a fire?" I'm like, "Oh, we have evacuation procedures." Do you guys
include your pets? Did it include your pets? I'll ask you that.
For the facility, yes. Yeah. And for us, absolutely.
Yeah.
But does your pack have like means to help people discover an evacuation plan?
Absolutely. So when they actually, I have one right here. When they get their pack, when they order their pack, it comes with a packing slip like this, and down at the bottom it tells them everything else that they need besides what's in the pack.
Wow.
Here's the plan. So, it talks about fill out the ID card, and then add your medications, and a copy of your shot records for your pets. Because if you do have to go to a shelter, they're going to need those shot records. And then other favorite toys or treats that your pet might want, a muzzle in case they are injured. I know a lot of people don't like to muzzle, but I'm telling you, I've had a dog get run over by a car before, and you go out to try to save it and it bites you because it hurts.
It's in pain.
So, it's important to have that kind of stuff. Some people like to have grooming supplies. So if you have a brush, long-haired dog, maybe you want to put a brush in or something for your dog. And then again, phone numbers are super important for local veterinarians, boarding facilities, even your local animal shelter, animal control. Because if you get out and you don't have your pets and you haven't made a plan ahead of time, you can call animal control, and if they're out in that area, they can go by and try and save your pets. So it's really important, all these phone numbers, to have them handy. And so if you write them down, even on the back of this, and put it in your pack, you've got them handy. So
when I started getting into the mind shift that I had when I started digging into this just for my family, and I haven't done a PET EVAC bag for our dogs yet, but the mind shift for me was that when you're putting these bags together, it's a modular set it and forget it. This isn't like something that you go to and you use. So for anybody out there that's like, well, but I have like all sorts of water, and what's the difference between the water that I have is 5-gallon jugs in my garage already? It's like, this is
dedicated. It's
right.
Dedicated.
Like you're putting stuff in here, and it's set to be organized and easy to access in the hopes that you never need to use it. It's not I put this pad of paper with all these phone numbers and I'm going to keep going back and forth to it and using it. This all stays in there so that I don't have to think when something goes wrong. It's a grab. That's literally the bug out bag. I think in some ways has gotten an odd tone to it. People think like it's like even like the word preppers, right? Like preppers and survivalists. Right. And like, this is just I don't have to think. I can just grab something and know that 90% of my needs are in my hand without having to wonder, did I put that back in there? Did I make sure the water is full? Did I make sure that I've got the meds in there? Like you just build it and
right.
Or think about, cause like,
is that your water bottles, that plastic starts to break down, and it's not good. It actually breaks down into really puts nasty chemicals into that water. So you don't want to take a case of plastic water bottles and put them in a bag and then forget about it for 5 years. Because
they're going to go bad. Yeah, and you're going to be drinking bad water.
Yeah,
exactly.
So these pouches absolutely won't do that. So they are Coast Guard approved, 5-year shelf life. They're in a little foil pouch. They're not going to have any of that stuff that leaks into the water. So you're always going to be safe, have safe drinking water, because it takes time for when you get into a shelter situation. It takes time for them to get set up, and
it's usually 2 or 3 days before all the food and water start flowing through. So you want to make sure you have enough to cover for you and your pets.
I mean, especially if you're in an area where like you do get cut off from supplies being delivered, like I think about the flood, right? That if the water's high enough, they can't get in a fire. Like if the roads are closed, because I remember when we had the big Woolsey fire, some of the freeways were closed. Like you just physically couldn't get to these areas right away, because I did a lot of donation drives during that time. Additionally, like as someone who travels with their pets, like when you're packing a bag for your animals and you have even time to think of all the things that you need to bring for them, you'll still forget something. So to have a bag that's like, I don't need to think about what's going in there, especially when I'm in an emergency and like my brain is in fight or flight mode and I'm literally just trying to escape with our lives, I'm not going to cognitively remember the things that I need to care for my animal.
Right.
Not going to happen. So yeah, having something that's just like ready to go makes it easy. It's like in an emergency, my husband and I, we know we're like, okay, we grab this box, that box, the dogs, and then we go. Like, these are the things we need. These are the valuables, the records, we're out, we're done. It's over, So
and better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
And not have it.
Well, and the other mind shift on this for me too was like, it's nice to have this warm, fuzzy feeling of community coming together. But if you have to rely on other people helping you, those other people are going to probably be helping out a lot of people at the same time. And you're not going to get that one-on-one attention. They're doing the absolute best that they can. And it's amazing that there's people out there doing that. But if you have to go into that fight or flight scenario, being able to take care of yourself is going to vastly outperform having to count on somebody else to do that for you.
I think that's a great place. That's a great place to take a break. We're going to take a quick break. We'll take a quick break.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no, that's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison, why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what
someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at phenixmedia.us.
Go ahead, and we're back.
Because the more self-sufficient you can be, then that means that you're taking, when, as you're saying, you're taking care of yourself, but then you're also, that frees up supplies for other people. So that don't have a plan, that aren't prepared. And I know we always talk about fires and we talk about floods and hurricanes and, tornado situations, but also if you think about, and this is a lot in the Northeast, but up in Tahoe, close to where we are, there's the snow. And if it dumps, and I remember the one time in Reno when it dumped and shut everything down and nobody could get out. And
power goes out.
Miles weren't coming out around, and you were stuck. And if you're out of food and out of, if something happens to the water and the power or whatever, then the
pipes freeze.
Yeah, exactly. So it becomes a bug in situation instead of a bug out, but then you're always prepared in case something happens as well. So it's a good thing to have all around. My daughter lives in tornado country, and they have their evac pack down in their cellar, so that if they have to grab the dogs and go down, they've already got the bag down there and they're ready to roll.
Yeah. Here in California, we think a lot about earthquakes.
Yeah.
Earthquakes too. If you have it in your safe place,
Are there some things that we're not thinking about? Like, it's easy to think. I know one of the traps, like as the human prepper side of things, we think about like these big major events and under consider, minor things happening of, just wanting to be able to stay home. I mean, just like civil unrest is a big thing, but sometimes just not having to go out at all seems small, but the convenience of it, of not forcing yourself to be in a bad situation is just as powerful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Some of the things that we talk about too all the time is to plan ahead to make sure your pets are ready to travel. Can they walk on a leash? Are they trained to walk on a leash? Can they ride in the car? Can you get them prepared to ride in the car? Teach them how to get in and out of the car, teach them how to be crate trained, because if you do have to get out and you do go to a shelter, 9 times out of 10, I work with the Red Cross and send therapy dogs to shelters that are set up by the Red Cross. And 9 times out of 10, you don't get to stay with your pet. Your pet is usually housed somewhere else, and it's going to have to be in a crate. So it's really important to make sure your pet is comfortable in a crate, because it can be their safe space. So again, those kind of things of training. And if they do have anxiety, make sure that you get maybe some extra pills from your vet that you can put in your go bag to help with that anxiety that your pet might have. So
how long
super smart.
How long do medical supplies typically last? That's a question I've never known the answer to.
And I think it depends upon the medications. You'd have to check with your vet on that, and it's something you might have to rotate, but
it's usually a couple of years. But
yeah, it's usually 2 or 3 years.
It just depends, and they're almost always very well marked.
Sylvia, I actually have a question for you. Are you able to train? Yeah, believe it or not. Are you able to train
value?
Are you able to train your animals to, so like I'm right now, I'm thinking there was when I was just little, we came across a car accident out in the middle of nowhere, and the dog was scared and ran away. Is there a way that you can train your animals to run towards you when they're scared instead of away? Or is that just like a natural instinct?
I mean, that's a fight or flight response, but that's the exact conversation that we had with Lindsay Wolko from the Center for Pet Safety, which is this is the importance of vehicle restraints for dogs, because in these emergency situations, in a car accident, more than likely your dog can survive the accident and flee the scene. And once your dog goes into that animalistic fight or flight response, like I think, Michelle, you mentioned earlier, like you went to get a dog that had been hit by a car and it bit you. That's because they went into fight, and right. If I'm terrified, I'm going to go into flight. So I think also a smart thing is, if you know you're going to be in these emergency situations and you know you're going to be evacuating with your dog, like making sure you have some sort of restraint in your car or some sort of way to keep them safe in the event of an emergency. Like you might need to have the windows down. You don't want your dog to fly out of the car because you might not be able to get out of the car and go chase them. Like these are all things to also think about when you're talking about evacuation and emergency preparedness.
And that's super easy to do, right? To have something in the car that's automatic restraint. You just, and it becomes habit.
Even have a harness in your bag, in your go bag. That's something that you
have an extra crash tested harness in the go bag, and then you don't think about where it is.
You don't want it to become a projectile if something were to happen. And I'm getting ready to drive cross country with all 3 of my dogs.
Yeah. So, look at Sleepy Pod. But they're great. Sleepy Pod.
I'm writing this down. Sleepy Pod.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what
I will, because I've got to get 3 of them.
Yeah. So good. Yes. Actually crash tested.
Okay. That's good to know, because that's super important.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long drive.
Yeah. Well, and I think like this might be a really great opportunity for us to discuss this idea of marketing spin, because as we all know, the pet industry is so unregulated, So when you guys are picking out your products that are going in this go bag, look, what are you looking for in terms of like, when you're talking about shelf stable, like says who, that's, like where are you getting your products? And talk to us a little bit about the homework that you're doing to ensure the safety of the products you're including in the bags.
Sure. So I manage the supply chain, and that's what I've done my whole life. I used to be a farm store buyer. So
oh, wow.
I used to buy pet supplies for farm stores. So everything we look for safety first for the pets. We use like the Leather Brothers slip leads, so they're made locally here. The Mayday food and water is made locally as well. It's an emergency ration, so it's designed for the most pets. It's not high end, pet food. It's just designed for emergency ration. And so there's not a lot out there right now with 5-year shelf life. So we will always continue to look to better that. Also, let's see what else we have. The first aid kits that we have. We went through that. We talked to veterinarians. We talked to first responders. And we've talked to people who've been evacuated. And what did they need? What did they, what were they looking for? So we did a lot of research up front to find out what were the best products to put in. And then I went out to try to source them at the best price.
Amazing. So what is like the average cost of, just for our listeners, like what is the average cost of like a single dog go bag?
So the single dog go bag runs $79.99. And if you were to price everything out individually, you're going to spend over $100.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Well, and
plus the bag is cute.
Yeah.
We also have carriers too. So that's one thing, is like if you have a small dog or a cat, so you can, if you don't have a carrier, or if you just want a really cool carrier, because our carrier actually can be a backpack. It has straps, so you can strap the little carrier on as a backpack, or you can make it a crossbody strap, duffel style. And it also has flaps on all of the sides, because I know sometimes, especially cats, get very anxious when they're in a carrier. And so if the carrier is completely closed in and they can't see all of the commotion going out, it sometimes makes them feel that they're in their little safe place. So you can either roll them up or you can keep them all closed, just depending upon your animal. And then everything in the pack comes in a cinch bag, so that you could just pull the cinch bag out, throw that over your shoulder, put your animal in the carrier, and away you go. For people who already have carriers, we also provide just the cinch bag piece that you can put inside of your carrier. So there's lots of different options. And what Michelle gave you is kind of our average big dog kit, which is the most popular, because most people, you have a big dogs, about 50 pound, labs and stuff like that. So, but I also wanted to make sure that we know we've also got the stuff for the little dudes too.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yes, yeah.
And so can you customize the bags according to size? Like, can I say, hey, I've got 3 dogs and one of them's a 12 pound, a 28 pound, and a 52 pound dog. Can you do it that way, or would you buy multiple bags?
We can customize it for you, or you can buy multiple bags if you want. We do a two big dog pack as well. So, and
each pack is like, is it like a 3-day pack, a 7-day pack?
It's 72 hours. Enough supplies to keep your pet safe for 72 hours. That's our goal. That's the minimum requirement. So you can always add extra.
And the customization is that program we're launching on Sunday. That will
Jason, don't you listen?
Completely customized.
I can tell you our backpack usually will only hold enough supplies for 2 big dogs. Mm-hmm. If you have 2 small dogs and 1 big dog, it would probably work. But like I said, when you start adding in all the water, the 2 dog pack is about 15 pounds, so it's pretty heavy.
Okay, we're gonna take a quick break, Jason. When we come back.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter, Brooklyn, was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart and don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. For help keeping yours at a healthy range, text PRESSURE to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take 1.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to sell all your belongings and live in a commune.
These dungarees belong to all of us now, Tom.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman!
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at phoenixmedia.us.
And we're back. Jason,
it. Thank you.
You had a question.
I love getting beat up over the break. It's great.
I was just calling you out.
Great morning.
Keeping you honest.
So how many people do you guys think are like meet a certain level of preparedness versus like out of the people that you talk to, how many people have always been doing something like this versus like, I had never even thought about doing this?
Yeah, very few. They did a study back in 2018. It came out in the USA Today that 91% of people are not prepared to evacuate with their pets. That's staggering. And it's so funny because it's like when we do shows and stuff and people see the bags, they go, I never thought about that, or that's brilliant. What a great idea, and it's like, and they might even have bags for themselves, but they haven't included their pets in those bags. So
I'll be honest, like this is something that I'm very well aware of and something that I know I need to do and just haven't done yet. I think a lot of it too is like the idea of building my own bag has always felt a little overwhelming. So the fact that this is just a product I can purchase, which I will actually be purchasing at the end of the show, like this is not a joke, it makes it so much more surmountable. If that makes sense.
It's very convenient.
And I hate to say it, but like in a consumer culture, like I'm a consumer. And for me, the idea of like thinking of how to create an emergency preparedness kit for my pets and any pets that might be in my care can feel a little overwhelming because I've never been in an emergency. I know I need one, but at the same time, I'm like, but what does that need? What do I put in there? What does that look like? I drive around with a dog and human first aid kit in my car, and I have a dog first aid kit in my home. But to think about how to package that in a way that's convenient and grabbable, it's overwhelming to me as a dog mom.
Well, we spent months doing the research, like I said, and talking to first responders and veterinarians and people who have had to evacuate. I myself have had to evacuate several times.
Wow.
When I was on vacation, I had to evacuate down in Mexico. And one of the hurricanes came through, and I had my dog with me down there. So, wow. I mean, we had to get on one of the big military vehicles. They had to take us down the beach because the roads were all flooded, so that was, only me.
So this is something, so this is something for you, Michelle, that is like, it's very real. It's very visceral. I mean, I would just love to hear, like, just from a dog mom's perspective, as someone who's been through an evacuation, like if you could just share what that feels like in that moment, just to help us get an idea.
Yeah. So the last time I had to be evacuated, like I said, I was down in Mexico and we were on kind of a peninsula that runs out there, and the levee broke, or they opened the floodgates on the Colorado River, and it flooded the estuary that came on the other side of that. So there was no way off that peninsula unless you went out by boat. And of course, we had 4 dogs down there because we're running the dogs on the beach and stuff. And there was just no way we were going to swim our dogs out to a boat to get them on a boat. So there was about 160 people that were stranded out there on this peninsula. They were shutting the power off because the power lines were floating. It was pretty scary. And so we were just figuring, how are we going to get out of here? And so the next morning they came to us and they said, look, the military is going to be here at 1:00. You need to be on the beach down here with all of your stuff to get off the beach. And so they loaded us up. Well, the first time they came, they couldn't take us because the tide was up. So they had to come back. But once we got out, and they drove us down the beach about 2 miles to a hotel, and they had to make makeshift shelter for us. And then we had to sit in that makeshift shelter for hours until they could get buses to us to take us from there to town. And I'm telling you, we drove through floodwater where there were ambulances at both ends in case the bus went off the road. So here I am with my dog sitting in this bus, and I've got video of it. I'm just like, oh my God. It's like, hopefully we don't float off this road. Luckily we made it out safe and we made it to town, but it was just so scary, and luckily I had my PET EVAC PAK with me, and I had actually brought one for my friends for their dog because I gave it to them as a gift. So we were, we felt pretty good about that our dogs were going to be prepared. At least we had food and water for them and all the supplies that they needed, a first aid kit if they got into trouble.
So during this time, like while you're going through all of this, because at this point you're talking hours of time are going by, like
absolutely.
How much water were you provided with, like food? anything like that?
So it was when we did get down to the shelter at the hotel, they did have water for us, which was great, but that's not always the case, you know? And so they didn't provide us with any food at all, but we had our dog bowls, so we were prepared. So, and I actually shared one of my dog bowls with another guy that had his dog down there that came out and it had nothing, you know? So I actually gave him one of my bowls when I was down there. So it's just a scary thing. And then when I lived in California, and obviously the Feather River, the levees broke down there, my neighbor had left their dog in the garage when they evacuated. And it was 3 days. They finally let me back in to go get the dog out of the garage. I just knew I was going to find that dog dead, you know, and luckily it was able to climb up on some lumber. But when you think about it, the gasoline for their lawnmowers had spilt. So the water was all contaminated in the garage. You know, the car was still in the garage. So the dog had no water for 3 days, no food. And I was able to grab that dog and get it out. And the only reason they let me go back in there is because it was one of my puppies originally that I had given to them. And it was like, I'm not leaving that dog in there. I'm going back to get it. But that's the problem with this. It's like when people aren't prepared, they either stay behind with their animals because they're not prepared. And then they put first responders in danger to try to get in to save them. Or they leave without their pets and then they try to get back in before it's safe, you know? And so again, it's putting first responders at risk. So if you're prepared and you can get out safely with your pet, that's the ultimate scenario.
I mean, they're called emergencies for a reason, right? Like we don't know when they're going to happen. They might never happen, but when it does, it is an emergency.
Yeah. But we all have 3.5 feet of water that went through our house. When you think about it, everything you own is under 3.5 feet, you know? Wow. Yeah, the refrigerators had floated into the living room and into the bedrooms. There was a washer and dryer in the bedroom, and things had floated everywhere. You know, but
you must have lived here in '97.
I did. Yeah, I lived in California in '97.
Yeah,
we just moved up here afterwards. Yeah.
Now, Michelle mentioned that Claudia is a Marine, a retired Marine, or
a former Marine.
Former Marine. How has that influenced you on all of this? Like, I feel like we've totally just glazed over that for the last 30 plus minutes. Like that slips out over the break. And I'm like, whoa, back up.
She's shy.
Well, I mean, talk about the ultimate be prepared. You know, I mean, it's you learn how to pack everything in a little teeny tiny bag that, you know, you carry a lot of stuff that you need, and you are always thinking ahead, and you're very detail oriented, and you're very disciplined. So that's an experience that helped me prepare to be a small business owner. And you know, we have a really nice warehouse, otherwise known as my garage, and Sweet. It's organized, and we've packed orders out of that thing since we went live. And, you know, there have been times when we've had up to 30 orders at a time. And it's just a matter of buckling down and having the discipline and having the organizational skills to get it done. So
I love that this is all very professional. Like this isn't just two dog moms that decided, hey, what if something happened, putting things together. We have two dog moms that have been through experiences, both on the human prepared side, as well as experienced this in emergencies, and then taken that information to create real world bags that will make an impact in people's lives. I think that is probably the most impressive part of all of this for me.
I think we recognized that there was a problem and we wanted to come up with a solution.
Amazing. All right, Jason, we've come to the end.
Are we done already?
We're finished. I know, so fast, but I hate to subject both of you lovely ladies to this. We end our show in a very special way. If you've never listened to our podcast
Have you guys listened to the podcast before? I mean, at least the last 30 seconds of the podcast is always the best part of the podcast. Dog dad joke
All right,
time.
Jason, go for it. You know,
I'm kind of excited about this one.
He's very excited for his joke today. He's always very excited.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Did you know that dogs can't operate MRI machines? But cats can.
That's a good one.
Take it.
That's good.
Take it, run with it.
Yeah.
It's so good. Okay, everything that we talked about, we'll have in the show notes. If I recall, did you guys have a promotion or something that you guys have coming up besides the new customization of the bags?
We're headed to Super Zoo in 3 weeks, which is exciting.
Woo!
The largest pet trade show, right, out in Las Vegas. So we'll be down there. We're looking forward to seeing everybody again after this pandemic. It's
be nice.
It's going to be really nice to be out. Yeah. And
very, very good.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for coming on and educating all of us and sharing your stories. We appreciate you helping all these pet parents through your firsthand experience.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Come on, tune back in to me. Thank everybody. We all want to thank
you, everyone.
There you go, for joining us on today's podcast and learning about Pet EVAC and really kind of opening our eyes of the impact it can make to be prepared for your pets one-on-one. I learned a ton. Sylvia?
I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And then had fun on my swivel chair, which is why I'm being silly. But seriously, I am actually going to be getting one of these. I think that if you do not take, if you have not taken the time to think of putting something like this together for your pets, you might now. And I think then we did our job. Yay.
Yeah. And it's so simple. I mean, that's the great part. It's such a simple thing to start with. So, and we are going to provide links for everything in the comment section of the show. Make sure you subscribe to both the like iTunes, Spotify, and check us out on YouTube. Subscribe over there as well, because that's where we're going to find a lot of the links or on the website.
And watch me spin around in my swivel chair like a psychopath.
Right, because that's the best part of the show.
I got a new chair. It's very fun. And
new wallpaper.
Welcome to my office, YouTubers. This is my new office. Yay. I'm no longer stuffed into a corner of my living room. I have a whole room to do this in. All thanks to you.
Great.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Oh, if there's a topic, personality, or event that you want us to talk about, make sure to reach out. Let us know. So that's been going really well as well. So until next time, we'll talk to you then.